I got my first French Bulldog over 30 years ago, and luckily the breeders I got him from were breed specialist judges and were focused on the breed standard and on producing a high quality and healthy dog. They taught me a lot about what a good breeder should be. At that time, they were not a popular breed here at all. Even in the show rings here in Ireland, there were very few entries. Over the last 3 decades, the entire landscape of the French Bulldog world has changed completely. They have soared in popularity, and instead of seeing the breed improving over this time, in part I've seen the destruction of the breed. That is apart from a small cohort of show breeders who are passionate about them and have produced some excellent dogs. Typically when you see any breed surge in popularity, the quality of them actually goes down because bad breeders get involved as a way to make money. I believe they are an incredible dog which fit very well into today's society, but it does leave you with the question, why have they become so popular? Many short-faced dog breeds have greatly increased in popularity, in particular the French Bulldog. In 2011, the English Kennel Club saw just over 3,000 registrations for the breed that year. In 2021, over 54,000 were registered. And in 2023, America saw the French Bulldog become the #1 most popular breed. The question is, why do we love this unique dog breed so much? Some put forward the idea that the cause is constant exposure to images of these dogs, through social media, in advertising, in magazines, on dog food packaging, therefore stimulating the state of desire. However, perhaps this may be the effect rather than the cause, of which could be something much deeper. To desire is to want, a want which can fade quickly, but to love is to have. Many owners of French Bulldogs claim to love their dogs like family members and describe feelings of comfort when their dog is close to them. The idea of the baby schema effect has also been suggested, whereby our brains perceive specific features as being cuter, such as large head, large eyes, large forehead, chubby cheeks, rounded body, and soft elastic skin. This may have an evolutionary purpose within all animals, as they may be more inclined to want to care for what is perceived as cuter. Regardless of species, this gives the infant a better chance of survival. Or could it be that it is all in the eyes? One study suggests that due to the anatomy of head shape and eyes, shorter faced breeds such as French Bulldogs have an increased tendency to make eye contact than other breeds. Retinal ganglion cells are responsible for processing information that comes through the eye. These are distributed differently in dogs based on their head shape. In short-faced dogs, the cell density is higher in the centre of the visual field and lower at the periphery, resulting in vision similar to a human in terms of sharpness, meaning that they see sharper in the centre of their visual field and may be less distracted by other stimuli coming from the peripheral visual field. This can mean that the French Bulldog may be able to focus their attention better on the subtleties of human expression. Due to both their cute appearance and high tendency to make eye contact, they can have more opportunity to connect and engage with humans, therefore encouraging communication and bonding. While the human-animal bond began thousands of years ago, today the benefits of interacting with our canine friends can be scientifically evaluated and has resulted in significant findings, whereby with these interactions, neurochemical, biological and behavioural changes can occur, and through neuroimaging we can observe how specific regions in the brain light up, and these regions are responsible for the release of dopamine, oxytocin, opioids, adrenaline and serotonin. All these feel-good and anti-stress chemicals can be released in both the human and the dog. Furthermore, the benefits of interacting with dogs of all breeds has been well documented. Hence, different breeds are now being used as therapy dogs. However, breeds such as French Bulldogs may be anatomically better positioned to capitalise on their interactions with humans. The reasons why these little dogs have such hypnotic power remains one for debate. But to help us develop a better understanding, perhaps we must consider their origin.
There are some interesting stories concerning the history of the breed. There was actually one Frenchie present at the Titanic. She was bought by an English banker moving to the USA. The story goes that he bought her for £150, like it's now like 20,000 euros. He also insured her for that amount of money. And the owner survived the drowning of the Titanic, but the dog didn't. The origin started in the early 1800s in the UK with the toy bulldog. The factory workers, they took the toy bulldog to their work because the mills were often in abandoned areas. They liked the toy bulldogs because it was a smaller dog to feed, so with the lower wages they got. It was a good dog to feed and a good guard dog. And then later the lace makers went to France, and then they bring in the French Ratters, so it was combined. And later the Frenchie went to the USA. And they had rose ears. And then in the USA they combined it also with Pug and with Boston Terriers. And then they got the erect ears, and the people of the high society, they liked the bad ears and the erect ears better than the rose ears. So that's how they came back to Europe as French Bulldog with erect ears. So it were 3 countries and 2 continents combined to get the Frenchie breed where it is right now. There has been documentation in America and there's been documentation in Europe. But the first description of the French Bulldog breed was made by the French Bulldog Club in France in 1907, and from that on France still holds the standard and still adapts the standard when it's needed. They were really started as also companion dogs for in the beginning the belle nuit, the prostitutes, so to say. And they were also known as in France as the icebreakers with conversations in the high society. People always got conversations when they were walking with a French Bulldog. And it was really a companion dog and a really nice dog that lived in the salon and was there and was a nice dog to keep in company. Working class admired the Frenchies, and they went also to the brothels, to the cafes where also the artists were. And the famous painters like Renoir, Degas and Matisse. And they brought the Frenchie to the high society, and it's a very positive thing that the high society combined with the working class were actually the savior of the breed of the French Bulldog. For me, they are a big dog in a small package. They can be very stubborn, they can be very clownesque, almost sometimes having the expression of a human in the face. When you once had a Frenchie, you never go back to another breed. He becomes a shadow of you, and it's just an amazing dog to have.
Despite their popularity, they are actually a breed that is under threat, which comes from 3 main sources. To understand the first threat, you must understand the purpose of a breed standard. The breed standard describes the anatomical and even mental characteristics that make up that breed. It is how you know what size, colour and temperament a dog is likely to be. When a person selects a dog that suits their activity levels, personality and lifestyle, there is a far less probability that that dog will end up in a shelter. For example, I wanted a highly trainable large dog with a weather-resistant coat that has the mental and physical characteristics to be able to protect my family and my home. I also wanted it to be a well-established breed. With this in mind, the German Shepherd was my dog of choice. I also wanted a small, clean, friendly dog which is great with children, loves people and adds a lot of life to the home. With this in mind, the French Bulldog was my dog of choice. Now, if I wanted a hunting dog, neither of those breeds would be any use to me. If there was no breed standard, the world would be full of mixes, and these dogs will be unpredictable in their appearance, size and behaviour, making it difficult or even impossible to select the traits that suits your current lifestyle. Breed standard serves a very important purpose. It is not just about show dogs, but the champion dog is the one that should be the closest to the breed standard, and the pursuit of this is what a dog show is all about. So the first threat to the French Bulldog comes in the form of the breeding of the non-recognised colours and exaggerated types, which are bred in a manner which very much goes against the breed standard. A French Bulldog should be brindle, pied or fawn, and in America also cream. No other colour is acceptable, and there are important reasons for this. There can be health issues associated with breeding these colours, and it can require the mixing of other breeds to create the non-recognised colours and exaggerated types, which means the predictability of the dog is completely lost. They are essentially not French Bulldogs. These colours can include blue, merle, lilac, Isabella, tricolour. The list continues to grow. They've even destroyed the coat further to create long coats, wire coat and even hairless dogs, while creating light blue eyes, all with the price tag in mind. These dogs are sold for higher prices because they are said to be rare. But at this stage, it's rare to find a true standard French Bulldog. I recently looked up one advertising site which had 24 adverts for French Bulldogs. 23 of those were for non-recognised colours, with one being a genuine French Bulldog. I do not believe that they are America's #1 most popular dog breed, because those lookalikes and exaggerated types, the non-recognised colours, they have infiltrated the statistics. But if one was to be honest and fair, they would not be included because they are not French Bulldogs. Perhaps there are some breeders out there who are breeding these non-recognised colours and exaggerated types that just don't understand what they're doing and even believe it's okay. But then there are also large-scale commercial breeders who know exactly what they're doing, and they're capitalising on this, claiming to sell dogs anywhere from 5,000 to 100,000 because they are supposedly a new rare colour. In all the cases that I've seen with these types, the dogs are of such poor quality it is puzzling as to why anybody would buy one. But then people hear about the high amounts of money that can be made, so they often pay the high prices with the intention of breeding and making similar money for themselves. Essentially, they're trying to fuel a market for their product. I do not believe they have any genuine interest in dogs. These breeders use words such as rare, prestigious, exotic. They also say DNA tested, but rather than testing for health issues, they often test for colour, in the hope of producing dogs that can fetch a higher price. With many, the health and quality of life of their dogs is of little concern. When you look at an old pedigree of, say, a standard champion French Bulldog, you are looking at a lot more than just the lineage of that dog. There are so many stories behind each of those breeding combinations. The work and effort that may have gone into what you see on paper can be astonishing. They may have done years of research before finding the right foundation female. Then the search for the best stud begins, attending shows in different countries, dozens of conversations and countless hours of deep thought about which dogs should be paired together, and that's for just one generation. The great dogs that we have today are thanks to these breeders who held the breed standard firmly in their mind. They worked hard to keep certain colours and exaggerations out of their dogs for good reason. If you think back to, say, 50 years ago, or even before that, there was no health testing, which meant that those breeders had to use their own evaluation of a dog. This is why we have to be very thankful to those breeders who laid the foundations, and we should be respectful to their work. This is why when bad breeders take their work and ruin it by creating a new colour or a new style, it's very sad.
You should respect the standard and respect the spectrum. I think the spectrum is wide enough in order to, to fulfill your little personal likes or things that you would like to see in a breed. I mean, we have quite a wide weight spectrum, for example, where you can move yourself with types. You can have a little bit smaller dog, you can have a little bit larger dog, but it's very important to respect the standard as it is, and also especially in the colors. I mean, we have fawns, we have the pieds, and we have the brindles, and also there you can have a variety from lighter to dark, and to have pieds with a little bit more or less patches. But I think there's room enough for everyone to work with, and far and foremost is that, I think it's important for the people to find a teacher or a tutor that they can go to and listen to and pay attention. I think this is being done not enough and should be done more, and in order to get to learn the breed, and especially hear about the history and where they come from and the challenge that they have, because they didn't have any internet, they didn't have any air conditioning in the cars. It was very difficult in those days. They didn't have the experienced vets, and still they managed to breed very nice and competitive dogs, and they created the foundation of what the people can work with nowadays. In regards to the colors and to the different colors that exist, let's say the last decennia, I don't really think that it's really being coincidence or a mutation or something. I mean, in the past we always had the brindles, we had the pieds, we had the fawns. In Netherlands it took until the 90s, late 90s, that the fawns were accepted as a color. Before that we are also only allowed to have the brindle and the pieds. Even in Germany, I remember that in Germany, in the pedigree, you had to have 5 generations clear of fawns, otherwise you wouldn't even get a pedigree, for example. So far their rules and regulations went. But as soon as you let go of the strict regulations and the rules, and people become more open and free to make their own decisions, and then they make sometimes weird choices. And if you see every day you see brindles and pies and fawns, People say, well, I want a different taste, I want something else, because it's not special anymore. And then to become special, then you create a niche in a market, if I may say so, which some people dive into, and then they create something different, which were the blues, I think, in the first place, fluffy ones. I mean, in all these years that we've bred, in the 50 years, and also the breeders that we visited, that we've seen and that we spoke, I've never seen a naturally born fluffy.
We have a lot of breeders outside the Kennel Club. They popped up more and more, and they breed just for colors, like blue, like merle, like black and tan, brown, pink fluffy. They also now breed other fur styles. They wanted to make much money because we ethical breeders inside the Kennel Club, we don't want to breed these colors because this is not FCI. This is not due to the standard, and it has a very good reason, because these colors are not healthy. And these unethical breeders focused on breeding these colors. And if you focus only on one aim to breed, then the quality gets very, very poor. For example, there was also breeds that had problems with hip dysplasia. Then the breeders all focused only on this issue. And this was not good for the breed. People think that they buy something very, very exclusive because this is a color nobody breeds. Yes, nobody breeds because you should not breed it. They pay a lot. These colors are also not in the Frenchie genes. The Frenchie from FCI standard do not have a gene for merle. So how did they get it? They made crossbreedings with dachshund or chihuahuas, also for the fur, to get these genes. So if you look back in the generations, you come to a mixed breed, at least to a mixed breed. And this is not what we want. And this is what also our Kennel Club was missing, to tell the people that this is not a Frenchie like from FCI standard, and it's not a Frenchie you should buy.
There are plenty of health issues related to these different kind of colors, like merles, blue, and so on. So it can be many kind of health issues what you can face with that kind of dogs. Those greedy breeders, they want to earn easy money, and it's so sad that there always will be people who are buying that kind of dogs. I cannot understand. There are many ethical breeders who are doing health tests accordingly to avoid any hereditary diseases. I would say that that's the much more better investment when you are buying your new family member.
It's hard to give it statistically, but you'd be more concerned about the general health of many of the non-recognised colours than necessarily standard colours. It's not a solid rule, but you'd say the breeders of standard colours might be a bit more aware of both the history of the breed and an idea of how the breed should be. Sometimes the people with the non-recognised colours are a bit more concerned about perhaps a bit more of the financial end of it, because they can know they get larger prices. And to even have some of the colours or even colour types, I've seen pictures of curly coated Frenchies and such. There is crossbreeding from other breeds as well, so you're opening possibly other even more health problems into the breed that you're just not aware about, because it's crossbreeding might have some benefits at times, but it needs to be at a very controlled basis, and I don't think the breeders of these varieties often are too aware of that. In terms of the standard colours like brindle, pied and fawn, while they still have issues within those colours, there'd be a lower chance of developing issues. You shouldn't be increasing the chance of issues developing, which can be with the non-standard colours. But not all the non-standard colours are going to lead to issues. Some of them would be quite, health-wise, would be quite neutral. But in the more diluted genes or the albino genes or even the merle gene,
they would increase the likelihood of allergies or possibly issues with the eyesight as well. So they shouldn't generally be encouraged. For the phenotypical appearance, different genes can create the same colour, but anecdotally, the gene in blue French Bulldogs would be similar to the blue gene in Staffordshire Bull Terriers, which would lead to a higher incidence of allergies developing and having to be controlled, which does affect the dog's quality of life, obviously. Other breeds might get away with a grey or blue colour because possibly it's a different gene that expresses the same colours. But any gene that's either gets the recessive diluted genes or even albino genes, which I think the pink might be related to as well, should not be encouraged. The Merrill gene, which is in various other breeds, yes. In average, the sort of more careful breeders of breeds that have that gene in it as standard, they still try to avoid it up to a point because you'd be fine for the first generation, but if you were to breed a Merrill dogs or Merrill bitch, it's definitely not recommended because there's a high probability of getting blind and or deaf puppies.
The problem is that there's also no regulation in whatsoever, and there's no registration or whatsoever of who is causing these problems. And we in our club, for example, in our kennel club, but also our breed club, we're trying to investigate this. And if you look at, let's say, for example, the influence of judges, because they say, yeah, but the judges have to pay attention, the judges have to do this, the judges have to do that. Not even 1% of all the dogs bred in many countries is being exhibited at a dog show. So the influence of a judge at a particular show would be null. You have to go back to the beginning, and that's okay. Who is the breeder? What is he looking to breed? And is this correct? And you cannot call a fat collar French Bulldog a French Bulldog because it's not a French Bulldog. And I think it should start there, that you would have to put, okay, it's a French Bulldog lookalike. But the same applies to the vets. The vets, a dog comes in and they say, okay, it's a French Bulldog. It looks like a French Bulldog, but it doesn't mean that it's a standard conform bred French Bulldog. And I think it's very important to differentiate, okay, where does the dog come from? Is it chipped? Does it have a kennel name? What is the color? And I think these things have to be registered. And I'm really fighting for this, for example, in Belgium, that we get more information so we can draw statistics. And if I look at the club of which I am president, for example, our breeders and all the breeders registered at the Kennel Club, French Bulldog breeders, we breed 500 dogs a year in Belgium. 500 is nothing. But registered in, let's say, the database of the country is 5,000. So there's something really off in these quantities. So I'm really trying to inform the government, the people involved and the stakeholders. I say, listen, you cannot compare apples and pears. And I think this is needs to be very clear that we are comparing apples with pears at this moment, and we should finish this. And so we have to look really at the purebred French Bulldogs being bred by proper breeders who mean it well, and then all the rest. There's been so many breeders, so many dogs being, well, let's call it produced instead of really, really thoughtfully being bred. And I think this makes it really difficult to keep improving a breed. You have to be very selective. And I think this is nowadays the problem, is that everybody can call themselves a breeder. They can make a Facebook page, they can make a website. They win a few prizes, they have nice pictures, and everybody think, they are creators of champions. But I think, there's more to be a good breeder, and a breeder that really is improving a breed. And many people maybe speak about it, but it's not that they also bring it to the table, let's put it that way. In former times, for example, in some countries, in Belgium and Netherlands, also in Germany, you needed to do some courses in order to be able to breed, to even be able to register a litter. And I think this is the, a big, complicated situation where we have, on one side we have the Kennel Club, one side we have breeders, one side we have dog show organizers, and we have breed clubs, and they all have certain interests which everybody is looking to fulfill. You know, you have the kennel club that at the end of the day, more pedigrees means more money, yeah, because they need to generate funds. On the other side, you have the breeders. Some breeders are really looking to improve a breed. Some breeders are just looking to produce litters and to sell puppies. Breed clubs depend on their breeders. So, you know, how strict can they be? Dog shows want a lot of exhibitors. So it's really a difficult situation where everybody tries to find their market share, so to say. I think at the end of the day, the quality of the dog suffers because it's not about the quality anymore, it's more about the quantity. Everything is being emphasized either on social media by well-known people who put pictures with blues or with fluffy dogs or with naked dog Frenchies. People think it's trendy, people think it's fashion, and they want to be part of it. And I think this is a big problem because those people do not even know what a French Bulldog is. They see a picture, they see something which is special because it's a well-known show business person, and then they think, okay, I want something like this, and it's completely away from the standard and has nothing to do with the French Bulldog. I even feel that there should be in some way or form, should be possible not to call them French Bulldogs. They're just like lookalikes.
It is evident that in order to preserve, protect and promote this amazing dog, the breed standard must be kept firmly in mind, because it presents structures which supports the breed's welfare, and without its guidelines we can now see what can happen. Because what started as a desire for the blue dog due to its rarity opened the gateways to the extreme exaggerated types and crossbreeds that we see nowadays. It is apparent that one of the main problems is that the name French Bulldog has essentially been hijacked to incorporate and disguise crossbreeds and non-conforming types. Therefore, the general public and also policymakers must learn to decipher the difference and know what is authentic and what is not. We must also be aware that there are some who argue that the breed does carry the genes for long coats, hairless and a multitude of other dilute coat and skin colours. They can even present DNA tests to prove it. But what they fail to realise or choose to ignore is that the dog they ran the test on was not an authentic standard French Bulldog to begin with. It was a crossbreed. So of course their results are not valid. Just because someone says this is the Mona Lisa does not mean that it is. When unethical breeders combine two different breeds, they can give the puppies a novel breed name for marketing purposes, such as a poodle bred to a Labrador. The pups will be sold as Labradoodles. Yet when a French Bulldog is mixed to create a long coat, they are called fluffy Frenchies or fluffy French Bulldogs. This adds to the intentional confusion, again for marketing purposes. Those who want to own a French Bulldog as a pet must do their research, because it has never been as important as it is right now to understand who you buy a dog from is a crucial factor. Try recognise the motives behind why they choose to breed that specific litter, because the pup you choose is supporting either the destruction or the preservation of the breed. One of the most important points is to know the difference.
The French Bulldog can be a very healthy dog, can be a very nice companion dog, can be a great dog to live with, and that can really lighten up your life when you buy it at a good breeder with good papers, and not go, you know, at a puppy mill and buy some kind of designer color or a dog that isn't been tested or isn't been done and that you don't see the parents or whatever. Just buy a good dog with a good breeder, with papers, and then, you know, you have really a great life with a Frenchie.